Are you an exercise coach or on your own wellness journey? You're in the right place. 7 Movements presents. Welcome to the Ask Sinner Show with your hosts, Dan Tatton and John Sinclair.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 4 of the Ask Sinner Show. Once again, John and I are wearing the same color shirt, so we're probably going to be on point today. So today we're going to talk a little bit about pain and working out with pain, and some questions kind of around that. So the very first question comes from one of our users out in Singapore, and she says, asking for a friend, and it looks like he's a triathlete and has been experiencing muscle pull / cramps in his left calf muscles as he starts running. When he runs more upright, he can manage to keep running, but still experiences discomfort. What advice would you give this individual in addressing this problem?
Great question. And triathletes are pretty special people, aren't they? Like, for what they need to do, the amount of stress that they need to tolerate, there's a lot of information into that, because being a triathlete and it being the calf and probably the back of the leg a little bit, that's involved in all 3 of their domains, right? So it's involved in the flutter kick when they're doing their freestyle or front crawl. It's involved in cycling, of course, and absolutely it's involved in the run. So that tissue is taking a ton of stress. So how I approach it is I first approach it from a mobility standpoint first and foremost. So the big key areas that we work on when we're building these programs, and we don't really explain it super well in the actual videos themselves. However, the big 3 areas that we focus on from a mobility standpoint is the foot and the ankle, the hips or the pelvis, and then the thoracic spine. And so the thoracic spine is the middle of the back. And so if you take the triathlon, for example, they have to be in this position for a long period of time, like we are in the office, but they got to be on that bike in a very aerodynamic position for a long period of time. That puts extra strain on the connective tissue that runs along the back. So we would say that tissue along his back, we would say it's locked along. It's in a position where I'm already stretched as far as I can be stretched. Right. That tissue continues on down underneath the hip, goes to the hamstring, and becomes part of the calf. So if you're already really tight in this position here, you're going to be tight down below as well. Right. And so we've got to look at, well, is that tissue either really, really stretched, or is it really cramping, and is it really short? And in either case, we could have one side of the body, so that tissue that's on the right side of his body might be too long. Right. And the tissue that's on the left side of the body might be too short. And so it's been compressed and or stuck, and it's cramping, and that's the feeling we get. Now, sometimes we can get cramping and when the tissue is actually at its elastic limit, not necessarily cramping when it shortens up, like when you're in your bed and you get the toe cramps and it shortens it up. So we can get cramps or things that appear as cramps to our perspective, but it might be the tissue is what we would say splinting. It's basically locked in that position, and there's no water left in that tissue, which in Singapore, these folks are working out in a really humid environment too, right? So their hydration level is going to have to be addressed. Their electrolyte level is going to have to be addressed. So there's a whole lot of stuff that we would have to address with this particular individual because of the level of performance that they're training at, also because of the type of sport and the positions that they need to be in. And then when they're not a triathlete, what is this person doing? Right. Are they an office worker, right? Is this an executive person? Is this a manual laborer? What is it that this person's doing when they're not doing that performance, right? What is their current nutrition status? So it's a really big loaded question. The one thing we do know for a fact is that pain does not come from the tissues. Right. Pain 100% of the time comes from the brain. The tissues and the nervous system it's like an alarm system. So what's happening is that the body is telling us that there's danger going on. So it happens in the form of cramping, in the form of eliciting a pain response in the brain, and it tries to tell us to shut down.
Right.
Because if you continue on, there's going to be a more catastrophic injury there. So that's the first thing that we got to think of. When a pain is going on, there's an alarm system going on off, and we have to address something. We have to create change immediately. Otherwise, the body will find a different way to get the same job done. And then we run into these areas where now my pelvis is out of alignment. Now my ankles and hips are out of alignment. Now my spine's out of alignment. And I'm just going to keep carrying on because sometimes our willpower is greater than our perception of that pain.
Right. And that was sort of the second part of the question, maybe something for you to add on, was he mentioned that he is going to run, he's just going to run differently to try and minimize the discomfort. What happens then? Is that a good idea? Is that a bad idea? I know the answer, but I'd really like you to explain that.
Mechanically, it's a horrible idea. Because now when you change your body's ability to receive forces through the connective tissue and through the joints, then everything has to shift. Your motor patterning shifts, obviously, because I'm trying to run differently. How your foot strikes the ground is going to change, which is going to create a cascading effect of force coming back into the other segments of the body, and then everything has to shift. So the rule I always tell other coaches is that you have to understand that the body is a subservient responder to force, i.e., and or if you're sitting in the office, a subservient responder to stress, right? And so however force enters the body, it's going to have to follow the path of least resistance. And so if you change your mechanics to try to avoid pain or avoid that, in some cases it's necessary. If you're in a competition, yeah. But if you're in training, no, that can't happen at all. You have to get to the root cause of that problem. And generally speaking, and in almost every case of where I see this happening, it's because your pelvis is not in neutral alignment. We have people that are running with one pelvis is higher than the other. It might be rotated more than the other. And then they're trying to load into the ground, which means if my pelvis is higher on one side, that means that my leg is going to strike the ground later than this one, because I've got one leg that's going to appear longer than the other, right? So this one that's lower is going to appear longer than this. And we're going to say, I got one leg longer than the other.
Right.
You don't. Just your hip capsule is so tightened up and your pelvis is elevated and all these tissues on the side are shortened that it's giving you the appearance that one leg's longer. And it isn't. We need to address the connective tissue. That's what we're trying to do with the Take 7 program. The Take 7 program is designed to create structural integrity and tensional integrity back to the body by doing movements that's going to allow the body to basically deform the connective tissue that has been in a shortened position. So in all our seated drills, how much time do we spend doing these drills in the Take 7 program? Because I'm changing the connective tissue makeup because I'm introducing a different line of force into that tissue. So by deforming this tissue and changing how it's actually made up, then I can now start to fortify collagen in the appropriate ways through a really fancy term called mechanotransduction, where we take mechanical force and convert it into chemical energy, or a chemical response, so that the chemicals go out and they attach to collagen fibers and come back and realign this. So in the instance of the triathlete, we have to get to creating structural integrity for that individual before we start to add more volume of training, i.e. just about anything they're going to do. Because the last thing you can tell an endurance runner is to stop running, or to stop cycling, or to stop swimming. What they'll do is they'll just go, I'll knock a K off. I'm not going to do 5 kilometers today. I'll do 4 kilometers. Right? And that's the mindset of working with an endurance athlete. So we have to be cognizant that we're not going to be able to actually get them to stop activity. What we have to do is start to actually add some smart physical activity in the form of a work-in, like we talked about last episode, that's going to enhance their recovery throughout the day so they can be more proactive at their recovery and their rehabilitation from pain.
Okay. As far as, obviously we don't have enough information to give this individual any sort of real recommendations outside of some of the education you just gave him. Would you recommend he go and seek out an exercise coach or someone who knows what they're doing to work through this? Or what would you kind of advise someone like this from afar? From really afar, he's from Singapore, so.
Yeah. What we might do is, I would say, always align yourself with great professionals.
Right.
So if you have one central figure that you go to, maybe it's your skill coach. Hopefully your skill coach has a group of people around them that they can refer out to, so you guys can attack this from a team perspective, right? If you don't have somebody like that, then what I would recommend that you could do from our program is to do the foot and ankle, I got achy knees, I got stiff hips, and I need to make my back feel better. Because those are the three main areas that he or she needs to work on, making sure that I've got the mobility in those big key areas in order to even begin to establish normal loading and mechanical patterns for those sports. So if he or she focuses on those main areas from the Take 7 program, then that might be your first step. And from there, if you're seeing changes in that, to align yourself also with a health coach or with an exercise physiologist coach or a personal trainer that has some experience in working with physical therapists and things like that, people like that have those skill sets to be able to gather all that information, be able to assess it, and come up with specific strategies for them.
Great. Thanks, John. I know that will be super helpful to whoever sent that question in. Maybe just to wrap this episode up, I'll give you an opportunity here to go after the fitness industry as we have in the past, in the sense that for years and years and years, and even from when I first began in fitness, it was no pain, no gain. So I'd like to hear from you, from your perspective, where did that come from, one? And how do we combat that message? Because it's clearly the wrong message. So what are your kind of thoughts on that?
Well, pain is such a subjective response that's going on in the body that we truly don't really understand for each unique individual how they're dealing with pain, because physical pain can come from a mental and emotional side, right? So if there's any threat to the body, if I've ever shut myself down from having pain, and I've done that where, you know what, I've got back pain, I'm shutting everything down, I'm not going to perform like I normally do, I'm going to have to just relax and chill out for a bit. That if I have a very emotional event that happens, my body will physiologically shut myself down through physical pain as well. Right. So it's hard for us to really say where the idea of no pain, no gain came from.
Sure.
I personally don't know where that slogan came from. But like you, I've been in the industry for 20 years, and that's still is perpetuated here. I think there's a very strong ethos around and mindset around pain, that in order for you to be successful, you have to go through pain, right? And you have to go through struggles, and you have to face adversity. And that's all true. You do have to fail in order to succeed. The struggle is that when there is a physiological response, i.e. pain is being, that alarm system has been tripped, there's danger going on somewhere in the body. And so I don't think for most of the people that need our help have the tolerance, nor do they have the confidence to be able to deal with an environment like that. Their mindset is barely ready to even exercise to begin with. And yet the fitness industry is still pushing programming that has to do with high intensity. Do this so that you can lose weight. This is the most effective way to burn calories. This is how you're going to burn calories after your exercise. All that horse crap that's out there is not allowing and creating an open environment for all the people that need physical activity to rush through. Because let's be completely frank, those people have experienced pain in their life. The thought of experiencing more pain through exercise is asinine, and it would scare the hell out of them. So our job as health coaches is to create an environment in which we breed success. And anytime we bring or pain shows up in that moves them psychologically a couple steps back. And if they keep moving backwards, they're going to say, exercise isn't for me. Right? And then we have people that are fighting this, even the concept of exercising for 7 minutes every hour.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have time for that. I'm going to get sweaty. I'm going to get hot. My body's not going to feel good. How am I going to get any work done? Right? And so because they're looking at it as exercise is hard, I'm going to work out. This is going to be a real challenge for me. I might get pain. I can't do these things because I have all these challenges. I've got sore knees and a bad back, right? And so if I do those, then they're already starting out with this mindset that pain already hurts. If I ask them, push through it, which is what we've done in the fitness industry and what trainers have said forever, just regress the exercise. No, I can't just regress an exercise. They have a physiological response to some mechanical loading that is not making them feel good, right? So we have to move past this and come up with real tangible solutions to eliminate pain and reward their movement by making them feel better than when they did when they started.
Right.
And that's what we've done with the Take 7 program. These are proven solutions that if after 7 minutes you don't feel better than what you did 8 minutes before, then I'll gladly give you your money back, because there isn't a single person that isn't going to actually say, I actually feel a little bit better having done that. Now, we're not going to say we're going to take you from here to here. We're going to start to create little incremental changes for you so that you're like, yeah, I don't have back pain anymore.
Right.
Because we've eliminated that threat. We've eliminated that danger response, i.e. pain. Right. And that's the whole side of why you and I started this company.
Right.
Was to create an environment for people to feel successful with movement.
Yeah. Excellent, John. That was such a good education for people, and I'm going to play this over and over and over again for folks, because this is something that we get emails about all of the time, questions around pain and whether I should be pushing through the pain, or that their favorite fitness guru on TV or Instagram or Facebook or wherever they found them told them that it's going to be super hard and you're going to hurt at first, but you're going to have these amazing results of 30 pounds in 30 days or whatever it might be. So thank you for that answer. Question of the day, episode 4. What do you got for us?
Here's a good one. What's your favorite Olympic sport that's going on right now? So what's your favorite Winter Olympic sport? And what winter activity do you most like to do with your family?
Great question. What are yours, John?
I'm right into biathlon right now. I think that's just from a physiological standpoint, because I like exercise physiology and I think it's kind of cool what they're doing.
Let you nerd out.
For them to work that hard, right, and bring their heart rate to that level, and then have to have the skills to be able to aim and shoot something accurately, you have to drop your heart rate like crazy, right? And you see what's happening with their breathing. So I love it because you can see from the top part of their chest, it doesn't move at all. Because you can't have this moving with the stock on your shoulder, right?
Yeah.
But you can see them right before they shoot, nothing will move, and then you'll see their belly will go, and then they're still, and they shoot, and then the breaths go, because their heart rate's still cruising, right? But they have the ability to, even though their heart rate's fairly high, to be able to change their breathing rate, and then to be accurate, and then boom, the gun's on, and away they get going again.
Yeah,
so
incredible.
Yeah, I think it's the coolest sport to watch, and I'm a big hockey guy. You're a big hockey guy.
Absolutely.
But hockey has nothing on biathlon. I just think that's the most unique sport to watch.
It's pretty cool. And then, okay, Florida guy. What's your favorite winter activity you're doing these days?
Yeah, I play tennis outdoors.
Yeah. Oh, sometimes I hate you.
Yeah, it's 30 degrees Celsius here today in February.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, all our Canadian viewers will be really happy with you now.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We'll see you for episode 5.